Hi, I'm John Hamby with Members Credit Union, and welcome to another episode of Wow Savings. Today we're here with Blake Ginther. He heads up the Ginther Group with Keller Williams. We're also here with Ashley McKenzie Sharp. She heads up the Sharp team of Fairway Mortgage. Thank you guys for joining us today.
Thank you.
Thank you for having us.
We're glad that you were here. So our whole premise today is to talk about real estate, mortgages, and how we can help you, our membership, with some savings along those lines. So who's got a tip for me that we can start with?
Rates are really low right now. That's a good tip. They've definitely dropped. So it's a great time to take a look at that balance and your interest rate and maybe consider refinancing, lower your rate, maybe a cash out refinance to do some home repairs. It's a great opportunity. Again, historic lows, so definitely something to check out.
I'll say that if you're thinking of selling now, most folks wait until later in the spring. I would recommend that they actually get a move on it sooner because of the election year. Oftentimes, the further we get in, the closer we get to the election,
Right.
the less sales. So people will probably want to get a move on and they usually wait to get their realtor out to interview and find out what they need to do to the home to get top dollar. They wait until April or May, and that would be too late this year. They need to probably do it now, December, January, February, so that they can hit the market February or March, no later than April. I think after that it's going to be a little late. And there's usually, there's an interesting, Wall Street Journal put out a article about the average homeowner, if they spent $5,000 getting their home in optimal showing condition, that they would make back 15.
Oh, wow.
And in our area, I'd say that's very accurate.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, that's so don't wait till spring cleaning.
Yes.
Start your spring cleaning in winter
That's right.
and get it all done. Get the Christmas tree down.
Yep.
Get it out of the way, along with everything else that you don't need in there. Get your house ready. and try
Formalize
to
the
get
plan
it.
now.
Yeah.
I think December and January is a great time to get a plan.
Okay.
And then put the plan in action after the holidays and once everyone's back to work.
Yeah. That sounds good. I like that. What are some things, Blake, that homeowners could do with their home to get them ready, to get that maximum out of it? We hear a lot of things, take down your personal pictures and, hide everything you can, get a storage unit and store everything but the minimals. Is that kind of along the right lines?
Yeah, I think thanks to HGTV, it's made my job easier and harder. That I think a lot of folks know to depersonalize and thin out their closets. Basically, we all tend to live in our home 110%, and to sell it the best, you really want it to show 50 to 60% lived in. So
Okay.
It is a lot of packing up. By the way, you don't have to get a storage unit. You can use half your garage. It's all about making it look structured versus
Okay.
just thrown into your garage. But I think if you're talking about savings, if you spend, back to that Wall Street Journal, where do you spend the money to make the return? And I think my best advice is lighting fixtures and paint.
Okay.
Depersonalizing and have a painter come in and take down the wallpaper and put up new light fixtures or even just hardware plumbing fixtures. But $5,000 goes a long way in paint and light fixtures, and it can totally bring your house from 2003 to 2019.
Yeah. I mean, 5,000 go a long ways if you don't, shop like I shop.
True.
I mean,
It
you can't spend all $5,000 on one chandelier for the foyer.
You could.
You can.
But then that would probably hurt the resale budget.
Well, yeah, because I want if I spend 5,000, I'm gonna take it with me.
Yes.
Yes.
I hear a fixture
Don't
exception.
listen to John.
Fixture exception in this listing agreement.
Yep.
Right.
That one's coming
Exactly.
with it.
Exactly. Now, are there some ways, actually, that people can, when they're going in and looking for a mortgage, what things should they look at? Because, with the rates like they are now, it's like everybody's advertising for, we've got the best rates. We've got what are some things that people are looking for in a good mortgage lender to help them save some money along the way, maybe not get wrapped up into some of those hidden fees that some of the other mortgage companies may have out there that's trying to pull you in with commercials and
Absolutely.
things.
Absolutely. Right now, I think, just to go along with what Blake was saying, I think now is the time to get pre-approved because a lot of people wait and then all of a sudden it's March and it's April and they want to buy the house. They found the house. They want to buy it. And then I'm stuck saying, hey, look, you haven't been at your job long enough, or we could have been working on your credit back in December, but we waited, and so now we're here. So start that pre-approval process now. Let's get your credit ready. Let's get your savings ready. Let's have an action plan so that you can present it to your agent. They can get your house listed, and then you can, move on or buy your first home. And then along with what you were saying, to answer your question,
Yeah.
I think that when you're shopping for a lender, there's a couple of things that people don't necessarily pay attention to. You can go with an online lender, and sometimes that works, and sometimes it doesn't. Blake can probably speak to this a little bit. When you present a pre-approval package and you've got multiple offers and you have pre-approval packages from local lenders that people are familiar with, and then you have pre-approval packages from online lenders, sometimes the agents and the clients are more prone to go with the local lender because they have a trust. There's a trust that's built up there. And so I think that that's something that you really should keep in mind when you're shopping for a lender. Another thing is, don't just go for the lowest rate. There's so many things hidden into that interest rate. You have to ask for a fee estimate, and that fee estimate, the rates, they change daily. So you get that fee estimate, and then when you do go under contract, you get another one. So you can shop lenders, but you definitely want to see the fee estimate from each lender, and you want to compare those fees. There's something called an APR, and that's a big long term for basically the cost of the loan disclosed as a percentage, and that's something that you can actually compare from one lender to the next, and that's what the government designed it for, so you can actually see which loan is more cost effective. Does that answer?
That's exactly what I was looking for. So I know this changes a lot. Are we in a buyer's market or a seller's market right now?
What's interesting right now is it depends on the price point and the location.
Okay.
It's and it's been this way probably for the last year or so.
Okay.
It's really 100% contingent on where.
Right.
There are certain neighborhoods that are thriving up to 500 or even a little above that. But by and large, take away a few outlying neighborhoods, we are in a buyer's market under 2. We are in a seller's market under 2. We are in a buyer's market over 350.
Okay.
And we're in a level market between 2 and 350. And that's inventory. Inventory is the main drive. Anything under 3 months inventory is a seller's market. Anything essentially 4 to 6 is level. Anything over 6 is a buyer's. We have a lot of inventory over $400,000. And we do not have, conversely, we have very little inventory under 2. And we have really 2 to 3 months inventory in that 3. And some it's starting to peak up to about 4 months in that 200, 225 to 350. So I'm not able to give a blanket answer,
Right.
because it's very much contingent on location and price point. And to Ashley's point, though, I will say, to bring it to the buyer's correlation of how do they save money, it's find the sellers who don't do the things we just discussed, right? Find the sellers who don't spend the money on the paint and the light fixtures, because it's oftentimes that will directly impact how much they can get, and they will have to give away. We always make the joke in the real estate world of buyers calculators and sellers calculators, and how they are not the same calculator.
Mm-hmm.
Well, if a buyer sees what really truly probably costs the seller $5,000 to $7,000, a buyer's calculator, that's $20,000, and so they will get a discount for buying a home that the sellers weren't either able to, or basically told the realtors they were wrong, or it's hogwash, and ultimately it does cost them money. And to Ashley's other point, if they do find that home that was renovated and they do get in a multiple offer scenario, especially under 225 most likely, who they went with, their loan officer really does matter. Just want to reemphasize what she just said. Knowing the local lender when you're presenting offers versus a big national bank that you can't walk into their office and say, what's going on? Are these people?
Right.
So
Right.
just a little plug there.
Thanks.
So let's talk about one more thing: renting versus buying. Because, in my opinion, working in the financial industry and what I see, obviously there are people who have to rent for obvious reasons. You know,
Right.
they can't get a mortgage. They need to work on their credit some more. There are some outlining, you know, and maybe some people that have owned a home and just simply don't want the maintenance, you know, and that's what they choose to do.
Mm-hmm.
In a general sense, if you're renting long term versus buying, you're throwing your money away. Y'all agree?
100%.
100%.
Okay.
I think it's a lot like, when do you refi? And I think oftentimes a lender will say, if you're going to move within 2 to 3 years, probably don't.
Yeah.
And I think from my perspective with renting, if you can't commit to at least 2, preferably 3 years, then probably rent. And that being said, if they're willing to get their hands dirty and buy a fixer upper,
Right.
well then they should probably purchase no matter what. In a way, because if you're willing to get your hands dirty in our area, you can still get a good buy and you can still turn around and sell it in 6 to 12 months and make a profit. But you have to get your hands dirty.
Right.
Most folks don't want to, and that's fine. If you're not really wanting to get your hands dirty, if you can commit to 3 years, you should purchase. If you can't, rent.
It's one of those things that with that 3-year mark, that's just about how long it takes to really recapture the cost of the loan and the attorneys and the appraisals and all the inspections. So that's why we go with that 3-year mark.
So 3 years or more, if I can make a commitment that long, I should buy versus rent.
Yes.
Anything
Absolutely.
less than that, short term,
Rent.
rent.
And with a caveat, highly recommend making sure that you find a real estate agent who's going to shoot real straight with you about resale values. Because if you're going to buy, if you know you're going to sell in 3 years, and I work with a lot of out-of-towners who are only going to be here for 3 to 4, tops 5 years. Resale value, meaning when they go to sell, is that neighborhood equity increase. You know, that Winston-Salem has a very low equity increase year over year. Good news is we never go that too crazy high. We never go too crazy low.
Right.
So, but the bad news is, if you're in a neighborhood where there's only, 1.5 to 2% equity increase versus neighborhoods that have 2.5 to 5.5% equity increase a year, then it's a big difference.
Right.
If you're only going to be there for a couple years. So resale value and finding a realtor who will shoot very straight in that is crucial.
Cool. So Ashley, one more thing for you.
Okay.
Since we talked about how important a lender is, and Blake put in his comments on that, how important is it to find the right realtor for you?
It is key.
And maybe what are some things to find the right? What do you know? How will you know that you have the right realtor for yourself?
Well, part of this is going to be a Blake answer, but from a lending perspective, if one thing is, a lot of people think that they're going to save a lot of money with for sale by owner. So they're going to represent themselves. What ends up happening is they overpay. I have to get really involved with them because the appraisal comes in low and they have to renegotiate, and it's all on their own. They have no one there to represent them, to guide them. To me, it's just a bad idea. I've been doing this 16 years, and I would always use a realtor. And furthermore, I feel like, you're going to get, all of that great advice and wisdom, but you've got to do your research. I mean, Blake's been doing this a long time, and he has a proven record. Not to knock new agents, but new agents have, they don't necessarily have all of the answers. So, going with a big team like Blake, where he has a team of agents that can support you in every respect, that's awesome. And they can always go back to Blake for the answers. So if they have questions, they have a resource, and that really, really will help you along the way, help you get the best deal, help you save the most money, and it really helps your lender.
I just think that people should interview. That's my
you?
biggest. That's the best
Really?
advice that I
Yeah.
think people don't. And I say that, and I
And people
But
don't
just
do
because
that.
you like
I mean, that-
somebody doesn't
right.
mean they're the best one.
they
That's
don't.
the whole thing.
And
yeah.
how do you know? Well, you know what? First of all, you might mesh better with one versus the other. It's most folks interview. I think it's like 2.2 people,
Yeah.
realtors
There's
on the
not
list
many.
side, and it's like it's 1.2 on the buy side, meaning very few interview on the buy
Right.
side. And I do think that the number one word everyone says is trust, and they're looking for honesty. Well, hopefully most agents are going to be trustworthy and honest.
Right.
So, but do you mesh with them, and how's their knowledge? And it's funny. I just think that I always want, if the whole wide world interviewed 2 or 3 agents every time. Honestly, this is going to sound it's going to sound wrong, but I feel like I would actually benefit from that. It would be better if more veteran agents would prefer that, because I think it would give us a better opportunity.
Yeah.
To,
Right.
So I'm actually very much a proponent of interviewing, and I want to just say on the for sale by owner aspect, what I kind of said about the inventory and the buyers versus sellers market. If somebody is about 95% of the time, somebody is overpaying in a for sale by owner situation, and it could be that the homeowners, the for sale by owner, is losing money, but somebody's getting a raw deal.
Right.
And it could be the seller; they're leaving money on the table,
Yep.
and it could be, and if it's under 200,000, that very well is probably the case. And if it's over 225, then the reality is it's probably the buyer overpaying. But not every time, but most of the time, somebody is not getting a great deal with
Yeah.
a for sale by owner.
That's what we tend to see. The appraisal tells it all.
Yeah, because sometimes you'll see it where they got a great deal.
Yeah.
And the appraisal came in way over, and you went, ooh, that homeowner lost out
a lot of money.
by more than the 2 or 3 or 4% that they think they're saving, from cutting out a side of the realtor.
Yeah. Awesome. Well, this has been a very fun and entertaining and exciting interview to have you guys. Thank you so much for being here.
Thank you.
We are so glad that Blake and Ashley could come by and do this video with us today. To learn more about this topic, please check us out on our website at www.memcu.com. I'll make sure I get a link put out there on this video so that you can gain more information about realtors and about mortgage lending options with Members Credit Union. Thank you so much. We'll see you next time.